Hey, hey.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Build Show. And Ralph, what's up, buddy?
Not too much. Been a while. I
It has. It's been a summer.
A lot of things have happened since the last show. Personal things and other things, and so we're back on track. I think.
Yeah, getting started,
Pardon,
kind of
pardon the
kicking off
pun.
a kind of kicking
Pardon.
off into the season. That's right, but
Yeah.
kind of kicking off into the kind of into the we all kind of slow down. Well, it's quite common to kind of slow down some um, going into this time period anyway. That often happens, whether we want to or not. I don't really intend to or did not really intend to meaningfully slow down during the summer. And just, life gets busy. Speaking of that, while we got it, I really want to thank anybody who kind of, it was nice to have had the thoughts and all the comments from many of you guys that I call friend about the loss in my family. So thanks to everyone. Um, but also, I'm getting real excited about coming back into the season. There's been a couple months where I've been preoccupied or otherwise kind of distracted by the goings on of life. But I've still been thinking about and kind of planning and posturing for stuff on the layout, and I'm getting rather excited at this point to get back to doing some modeling, and I have done a few things, and I'm going to show you. You're going to see a video late in this episode of some real crazy kind of hairy stuff that we pulled off. And thankfully, I thought it would just be good comic significance to do it all
Well,
on video with everybody else, or
th-
maybe it's better to do it on video. So I had someone who could call 911 for me.
exactly. And you managed to pull it off without damaging anything, without hurting yourself, although that was questionable. Um,
Or even my
a
pride,
lot of
which was
a
really
lot of
surprising.
a lot of heavy breathing, and
Oh my gosh,
well, we're back on
it
track.
was brutal.
You
It was
got your
brutal
mojo
getting
back,
it. Yeah,
buddy.
but yeah, I think so. I feel rather excited. I did go, a couple months where I was rather, just kind of distracted and not that interested, which I don't generally do, even through the summer. I tend to stay, you know, I kind of like everybody else. There's some fits and starts in all of our modeling, but I tend to kind of consistently model through the year. I don't love the 9,500-degree weather and going outside either. I don't have a boat or anything, so I tend to model right on through the summer. But a little distracted this year, but we're getting back to it. Rather excited about it. So, and Ralph's done some really nice work, and that I've already, thankfully had the pleasure of seeing that we're going to show off in just a minute. We're gonna shoot over and go through that video, but I wanted to kind of start by kind of showing off the bridge components and what I've actually worked with, because we've talked previously so far. Um, Also, I might as well go ahead and draw attention to some work I've done on getting my video set up a little bit better. So let's, we'll look at that for just a second. I've now got, I've got, good face shot camera, and I have a monitor where I can see that. I have
Hey,
a nice
if
side
you
shot
can't
view,
blow
kind of
if you can't blow your own horn, who can? Come on.
well, let's, I mean,
Yeah,
we
show
at
it off. You
MRL
got
are
it. Show
trying.
it.
Sure. And us at MRL, we at MRL are always trying to improve the quality of the product that we can make for you guys. Bill's put time into audio and stuff. Of course, Johnny's famously, had several computers running and everything to be able to do the stuff that he did. We have done things with the software that we use now that does make it a bit easier, but there are still some benefits to these more advanced kind of video setups. That we have. And I'm not going to go into all the details of the monitoring and software, any of that. That's an entirely another show. But but it is nice to see the thing that I think it's valuable to kind of show the type of quality improvement that we should be able to get on our show here with a couple of these things. So I've got kind of a I call this my tangent cam. So if we go off on a tangent, I can shoot over here and you can get this side shot here. Of course, I've got the nice front and center view here that I can also put scripts on and read from, and I can see myself. I've got a monitored view, and the thing is, I can look straight into that camera, so it has a much better experience, kind of the eye contact part of video as well. And then I've got, a dedicated computer here that is streaming our video and stuff, but it's a separate system for doing that. But I could also get the input of any of 6 monitors that are in this room, 6 computer displays that are in this room. So anything that I want to share, I can pull up on that view. And then I've also, I guess I turned this off. I've also got an improved downshot camera. So with autofocusing capability and it should do a clear camera output. Yep. So autofocusing capability, auto mount, and a nice camera that lets us kind of show off and talk about what we're doing. So, and I thought it might be worth mentioning since I was going to go ahead and switch over to that camera now. So, what I've been working on up until so far, what you guys have seen so far has been on these previous shows has been some abutment work, the structural and framework work, which we'll close up the last detail of that as we kind of show off the finagling of getting that module up in the air as kind of a last comedic treat of this episode. We've done kind of showed the U-channel U-frame arrangement that has been built and painted black, so because the track goes directly on top, it has been diced and sliced and such so that it has a subtle curve to it, and it's not exactly curved. It is a series of straight lines with a very slight what would you call it, diversion angle, so slight of an angle that at any point that it's cut, and I had to cut through the one wall and across it, but I did fill in the back side of that with aluminum tape and epoxy to make it strong, and it virtually disappears. That one I kind of got tore a little bit, but I'll fix. But it virtually disappears. You just so if you're looking up through it, of course you won't even be able to see this with any you won't even be right up close and personal with it anyway. But you shouldn't see that. But it is such a subtle diffusion angle to get this curve that this cut, when cut on this side, is a 64th of an inch that had to be removed. So I had to use the finest, or one of the finest jeweler saw blades I have to take a 64th of an inch out of the one side in order to pitch the angle. And there's, whatever, a dozen or so of those cuts. And that's what it took to get these basically 8 13/16 and 4 3/8, I believe, for the short segments that go above the towers. And then these are the longer segments that go between towers. Though that 1/64th of an inch diffusion is what it takes to keep this making the slight angles for a 22 foot radius. So it makes that very slight curve, which, me and Ralph argued about this for a pretty good long time about whether that's useful. Whether that's useful
pretty
or
much
not.
all summer. Yeah, pretty much all summer.
Yes. We argued about that a lot. Yeah, I don't know, but argue's the wrong word. We discussed, we
debated.
Discussed.
We debated.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and I even think you were probably right fundamentally.
Ooh, he said it online.
I just wanted to try.
Crap.
I know, right? Yeah, I must be really in a giving spirit, but I did want to kind of show. I wanted to see how much it was possible here, because one, I thought it would really improve the quality, the look of the slight curve. Number one. Number two, the prototype has that curve. And number three, I have 4 total of these big, tall steel viaduct trestles to build. 2 of them had to be curved. 1 of them is straight. This one was up for debate, but it has a very slight curve on the prototype, as you guys have seen pictures previously of. But that's done. That's done now, and now we're starting to talk about girders. So I'm also going to be working on those tonight while we show some other videos, and we will discuss. But I'm going to briefly show you what thing I am doing, the actual rough of this task, and then we'll go, shoot off, and we'll take a look at what Ralph's been working on, and then we'll circle back to what I've got done, do a little more discussing, and then we'll kind of exit on the kind of cloud task of hanging that module up in the air. That was comical. So this is the U channel that I'm using that you guys have seen previously, as we've discussed. One second. I don't know why that thing keeps going to sleep or something. And I'm glad I did mention the camera setup that I'm working on and show that off, because it's good to see that, to mention that this is brand new. It's brand new to me. So
there's going to be
there is work to be done.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, there will be some kinks in getting it all tweaked out. This is this is just a camera mounted on a mount, and I am figuring it out. And the video switcher and the cameras and a bunch of stuff, and I can choose up to 14 different inputs to feed you guys. So I'm still figuring out how to use it and figuring out how the best setup.
I don't know whether we could take 14 feeds of you. I'm not sure we can take it.
Oh, I'm sure you don't. I turned it on the other day with just four, with just a 4-quadrant view of 4 of me, and I don't at all think that's valuable to anybody at all. Actually, the best benefit to this whole video setup is that I can get myself off of camera and turn the camera onto some trades and
become a hand model.
Build it to bring. Yes, that's right. We'll do this on Tony. If you guys have not seen his channel, look him up on YouTube. It's not model railroading, but it's a spectacular and comedic channel that's wonderful, and he's a machinist, so hobbyist machinist. But his hand modeling is just wonderful. His hand modeling game, the hand modeling game is strong with that one. So we're working with a lot of these basically. Although I have bought a whole lot of just the plates. I mean, I don't know how I can stress that I have that I have bought some of these, because there's so many of these. There's so many of all of these kits. There's so many parts to clean up. How about this? All of these parts that need to be cleaned up, that have to be broken off the sprues, sanded and cleaned up, and there's I don't know, 50 or 75, each with 5 or 6 parts on them, all of which have to be broken off the sprues, cleaned up, sanded, etc. These have to be cleaned up and sanded on a just on a flat, just on a board, and sanded them down, and then using files to clean up the ends of these. And that's
you have a lot of work to do before the next show.
Absolutely, and I've already done a lot of work. I've already sanded for hours, so much so that I can't actually stop working on this. And when I went to Denver for that technology conference for work, I took parts with me and sanded and worked on them. So I'm sure that the cleaning staff was very curious what the gray or white, dust and plastic dust, or just dust, was on much of the hotel room that I was staying in. Although I did try to clean up after myself, but there's a whole lot of that work. Did it really? Okay, I'm very curious. Maybe I've left it on too long and my battery's getting low and it's getting sensitive. Which thankfully I will play with this. I know the battery's full, but it's not plugged in. The power's not plugged in. I'll play with it later. We'll suffer through it just a little bit.
I'll keep telling you.
Well, I don't know if it's fuzzy on everybody's end. If it's it looks clear going out to the internet. I think the fuzziness has to do with the adaptive compression You may just want to set in YouTube, set your resolution to not auto adjust, but you could be right.
It's similar.
It could be
I'm getting the same thing in StreamYard before it goes out.
okay. Yeah, it's
A little
adaptive compression.
little bit
Okay.
fuzzy.
Well, I may have to take a look at that. I haven't, it's definitely focused here and everything. So on my side, but I'm dealing with, Kentucky's internet, the best Kentucky internet we have to offer. So it's not great. So what I have to do on all of these, though, after doing that, is take and cut them down and cut the girders and detail off from one side down a certain point and sand to get a flat surface and get a surface that will take adhesive. Not to mention, I also have to cut these things to make they glue together in two pieces and cut these to logical breaking points. Actually, so these have to break so that the rivet detail is correct. You have to center the component you need to break. So I need to make it does have a double rivet detail here, one here at this glue joint, and one here. So thankfully, I can make the 4-inch pieces, 4 3/8 pieces that I need. I can get 2 out of each of these segments, or 1 out of this piece and 1 out of the adjoining piece for the 4 3/8 piece. Also, I'll note that I planned and designed the breaking points of all the bridge components such that they lined up correctly on these
vertical angles.
Yes, on the raised seam component, or on that piece. I'll think of what it's called in a minute. And I even the tower part, the 4 3/8, just works out, per their design. It works out to the 4 3/8 of the tower width, so that these sit on top of the tower. And I'm not using the smaller girders. They're all the tall girders all the way across, the largest girders that are like 1.125 inches in height. But and it's all the way across, because my prototype has the same size girders and they look large all the way across. But so that's already worked out for you by microengineering. But I also worked out the large break that goes between the towers. That is, thank you, Chris. They're called stiffeners. Absolutely, Chris Rood will be the guy to know. See, that's the guy we need to have in here just to correct us for stuff. Chris Rood's a civil engineer, and it's good to see you on as well.
You just went black again.
So, yeah, I know. So that's the civil engineering side. Now I need, a camera guy to help me tweak the details of this finicky camera and why it wants to be stupid. So,
get a hold of Miles.
We'll circle back to that in a minute. That's right, Miles, the guy for that. Which I haven't seen that camera what to do this before. Okay, but I also made the breaking point of these across the 8 and 13/16, I think, something like that, across this log section, so that it was also a logical breaking point that broke out across this thing. And I did so in such a way that you get an even number of panels, so that the double rivet detail component was centered in the cut, etc. So anyway, I've taken all that into account. But now the thing that I need to do is to start sanding and working on a whole lot more of these, so that to get this detail removed here, so that it matches to this piece of aluminum stock material. Ralph did his with a piece, and actually we'll get you to explain that in a minute, but yours is like 3/4 by 3/4. The piece I'm using here is a 1/2 inch in height by, I think it's 7/8. See, that's the stupid focus square. All right. I'm sorry to use you guys as guinea pigs on this experiment, but I hadn't seen that before. But I've got to remove an amount of material so that I get a good glue surface, and to make this nice flat surface here. And it's cut in such a way as that it tightens up right there. And you can see that is the measuring component to get that detail flat.
Flush with the
across
top.
There. Flush. There you are. Flat. Or flush. That's right. Thank you. All right. On top of that detail, I mean, literally on top. Yes, that's right. Well, yeah, sometimes that, sometimes moral support. I'm glad to see that you guys are here sometimes for moral support, and sometimes to pick on somebody when they really need picked on, because there are times I think I deserve it, and you guys are there to provide. So,
Picked on is the
right?
video
Okay.
form of a denozo.
Are they
A
good? A video
denozo,
form of a denozo.
a denozo is a smack in the back of the head to bring you back to reality. So
Yeah,
we can't do that on video. So we do the pick on you. It brings you back.
that's right. The verbal equivalent. Okay. Good stuff.
Digital equivalent.
So these bridge That's right. These bridge girders are designed and come with all the components that they come with, the detail strips or whatever. And I will put these rivet detail strips on the bottom of the bridge. They will go on the bottom of the girder, so you'll see them from below. If the light catches it right, that you can see the rivet detail. But you'll see that it'll be on the bottom. But on the top of this bridge in this detail here, you wouldn't see this anyway. The tie spacing on a bridge, you wouldn't see it anyway. So I'm not using the plastic rivet detail there, but I am, however, using a piece of evergreen. Um, that's wood. A piece of evergreen, I think it is, but a piece of evergreen strip material to have a strip here that widens the top of this plastic out just a little bit for that. It also means that when I make that glue here, there'll be a slight space between the ties and the aluminum, but the glue will fill that gap, will fill that gap or whatever, and it'll cause the black of this to disappear, just like you're looking through the ties. So, all right. So we got that, and I'm going to start cutting on some more of these and working on these and get to where you guys can see it live when we go back to a dual camera, side by side camera configuration in a few minutes. But I do want to go ahead and get what you've done, Ralph. If you want to talk about it, and explain it, and then let me know when you're ready to turn that video feed on, and we'll stream the video of this is a weathering of sorts, painting, weathering of sorts task that's right up your
Well,
alley.
as a,
So why don't you
just
tell us about that?
just as an explanation, the plaster castings are all done by me. I have a mold, and it ends up about that long. This is not the same one. This one here is more like cobblestone, but it's the same height this way. And what I do is I just cut and fit and make sure they fit. When it comes to going around a corner, I carve it so that the stones go around the corners. And you can see in that picture there how it looks. So
Sorry. And,
it's okay.
yep.
So I've done most of my bridge abutments, including the harbor wall, which you see down below there on the left, with that casting. And I pour my own. Like I say, it's about a 6-inch casting, and you have to cut and fit, cut and fit. It's a little bit tedious, but I enjoy it, and the results make it all worthwhile. So then my coloring, what I do.
1 second. What's the source? What's the original source material of the
The
casting? Was it just did
mold,
you
it's
take it off
sterling.
from somebody else's field?
No, it's
Okay.
sterling models make the mold,
Okay.
and I
Perfect.
use it over and over and over and over. I think I've used it probably about 100 times already. And that's my results. That's only part of it. That's the abutment to my arched bridge. And the way it's colored, I use Home Depot paint. It's Bear paint, and the color is called Thorny Branch. And when I do my weathering on rocks, stones, whatever, I go from dark to light. So I use this paint full strength. But what I do is I seal the plaster with a latex paint. I don't bother buying model paints and paying. You're going to pay hundreds of dollars by the time you're finished. I go and buy a bucket of latex paint, and it's beige, the kind of stuff you see in a house, which we have left over. I had a half a gallon. It's done. It's helped me do this whole layout. I coat it first and seal the plaster. Then I come back with the bare paint, the thorny branch, and I paint it on. And then you see the round or oval circle at the bottom there. That's a bucket of water. Once I put the paint on, you do a section and then come back and wash it off with a brush. The dark paint stays in the crevices. You wash the paint off the highlights or the front face of the brick, and this is the results you get. So if you want to go ahead and start the video, you'll see how it works. And this is extra fine speed. Paint on the color.
And I could speed it up and slow it down however you want. This speed
No,
set it to be about 6 or 7 minutes.
that's okay. That's fine. So you can see as
But
I
in
go along.
practice, when you follow this, when you do it, you'll have to, it'll take you a little bit longer than Ralph is showing here. You have to spend a little bit more time.
Well, the thing is, you can't let it really dry. You can't paint it and walk away. You have to do it while the paint is still wet, otherwise you won't get the plaster to show through on the face of the brick. And it's not the actual plaster that's showing through, it's the beige color that you have behind, or that you used as a base. And I'm using a piece of paper towel just to mop up the water as I go along. So all of this area that I'm doing now is leading up to the Howe Truss bridge that I built for this show. Go back and hit it with some water, sop it up. I took the other bridge out so I could do these abutments. So just moving along quickly, I mean, this is, and the ground around those things is Sculptamold. I'm not worried about the color going in there because that's going to get colored again anyway. Now this is this is not, this abutment that I'm doing right now is not finished. I still have to do more to the right of it. There's a block of wood there that holds the bridge at the proper height, and I had to do it so that my track work, because you have the ties and the support structure for the ties hits that block that's there, and it keeps it at the proper height to match up with any other track work on either side.
But that was that video, according to, was that all of that? I guess it was, wasn't it?
It was. So the next one was the
So
building.
The next one was the
Why are we getting echo?
Of the bridge.
Yeah.
Well,
the next one is building of the abutment that joins the plate girder bridge and the Howe Truss bridge together. If you don't have it, we'll show it next time.
Well, I think I do if this is the right video. Well,
so what
I think that's like a.
Okay, so what I did is I had a block of wood, and I built it. And now that I look at it, now that it's completed, I probably could have made it narrower, but it'll still work the way it is. I had a block of wood, and I built up the plaster all the way around it until I got to the top. There we go. I'm doing the same thing there.
Please slow this down some. If
it's going too fast, yeah.
Let's play this. Yeah.
So I did I have a 7-foot bridge. now. It used to be 8 feet because the Howe truss is a foot long, so I had to end up cutting off a foot to put in the Howe truss. And that little peg that you see sticking out of the top, that is the height of the plate girder bridge. So I had to match everything up. So that's how it started.
We don't need to slow that down. That's just 2 minutes.
Yeah. And I put grooves in the wood so that I use plaster mud to hold everything together. There's the plate girder, which in my case, the bridge is green, and I haven't weathered it yet. But the back side of it is notched, like Andy said. I got rid of the ribs for the thickness of this aluminum channel that I'm putting on. So the width of mine is the same as the width of his. It's just the depth is a little different. So that's the two pieces before they get put together. And what I did is I scored the aluminum so that when I epoxy it together, the epoxy had something to hang on to. And that's what the thing looks like when it's together. So that had to meet up with my Howe truss bridge. And that's just a piece of flex track just to get the height. So I start off with this. I put grooves in so that I can use the plaster mud has something to hold on to. And plaster mud hangs on to the plaster of Paris, the back of the casting, perfectly. Once it's in place and dried, it's great. So I just keep building it up, and then I go back and I carve the edges. So there's the two of them lined up. Again, beige color paint, and I started to put the thorny branch on top and do it the same way I did the other abutments, and that's the final product. So the top was done as well, so that it had some character to it. I don't know why I put that little extension on there. It wasn't necessary, but I did it just for visual interest. That's it. So now it's getting everything to go together. Oh, I remember this. You're not going to play this now. Okay, we lost your audio. We lost your audio.
Okay.
There you go.
Really?
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I hate when you can fix a problem, you don't know why you did. But
you had the wheels of your chair going over the wire.
It may be, which I did hook the wireless up a minute ago too. But a couple things draw some attention to that I noticed from what you showed is mentioned this before I forget, but that the damage that damage is a strong word. The grooves
score lines
you cut in the side. That's right. To get the epoxy to have something to bite, and that you did use epoxy to make that bonding, of course.
And I did the same on the back of the plate girder with a number 11 blade. Same thing on the plate girder, so it bites on both sides.
Okay. And I planned on hitting it with, I have like I don't know if it's 40 grit or something, but it's a pretty.
That might work.
A pretty.
I just used the back side of a number 11 blade. Like draw it backwards.
Oh, the plastic.
Instead of cutting, draw it backwards, and it'll make a groove, a nice groove. It'll remove the plastic, and it'll give you the groove.
Okay. But I'm still curious what the right tool for scoring the aluminum is in my case. You did it with a Dremel, probably?
A Dremel wheel. Yeah.
Okay. And I get it because I've got to do
Just be
that,
careful.
before the next video.
Make sure you're wearing your glasses, because every once in a while those discs break, and they're going at
Well,
20,000 RPM or whatever it is.
yes. You also don't want to see any modeling results that I might get were I to model without my eyeglasses. You don't want to see that quality of modeling. If I can't see what I'm doing, you don't want to see that
Right.
work.
Right. Yep. You are
Um,
on the money there.
Yep. So, okay. So the scoring of that. Also, might as well, since we talked about your, the paint technique for rock. That's it's not dissimilar, let's say, to the techniques that you have shown previously for doing natural rock work. Of course, why would it be
That's right.
different for
Just
that?
just the colors have
Yep.
changed.
Sure. How much diversity you might have in, say, a cliff versus stones that were quarried from a place. You need to take that into account, but that's the benefit of working, modeling, painting, modeling in general from photographs, but especially painting and weathering from photographs, because the things that, and not even off original, because what you're doing when you're painting is far beyond just recreating the stone. You're recreating the light that shows you the
That's
color
right.
of the stone. And,
That's
that's
right.
why you
So
need photos. You've got to
so here
paint that light into paint.
here we go. The discussion, whether it's art or whether it's just engineered artistic or
Yeah,
artistic
that
engineering.
was on. I got to listen to your take on that discussion on. Was that on New Rail? What podcast was
No,
that you were on? I watched you.
second section.
It was on the second section podcast. Yeah.
But there was also
Well, that was
there was also a thread in Model Railroad Hobbyist on the same thing, and that's what got me going, because
oh,
Joe Fugate
okay.
does not see model railroading as art.
Really?
Yeah, he says it's artistic, but it's not art. To me, it's art. You're building the stage.
Okay, so this gets into a discussion. Yeah, that's the difference
And
in artistic or artful and outright. So the argument I think he might be posing, that I would have to think about more, is it art with a capital A, or is it just artful execution of your modeling? Because you can do anything artfully. That's anything can be done
to
with.
the best of your ability. Some have better
Right.
abilities than others. So again, it's up for interpretation. We're not going to get into an argument over it. So if anybody's here waiting for that to happen, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen here because we just about entirely agree on this. I do think that it is definitely under the category of an art. I mean,
see, I look at it. I said it.
I
said it the other night on the second section podcast. You're building the stage, and the players on the stage are your trains that run through it.
Yeah,
they're the actors. So
I just don't see how it's not kind of obvious that it's actually art with a capital A, actually, but it's for sure that it can be done artfully. I think there is some room to think about how it does not have to be art if you don't want to take it that way, per se. If you see that as a negative or whatever, but maybe if all you're doing is the engineering of things. For example, there's a. Yep.
Okay, but I'm not disrespecting your prototypical whatever, but I see most prototypical modelers not as artists, but as just engineered artistic view, because
Well,
they're
so I
trying
guess
to
it
make
depends
it
on what you're doing.
exact. They're trying to make it exact to the prototype, whereas a freelancer or proto-lancer has the ability to go beyond that.
So I
And
guess there's
he has
multiple
to in order to
ways,
sell it.
but there's multiple ways that hobby is artistic. Okay, it's artistic in the painting and the sculptural side, the sculpting side of hobby. It's creative in its storytelling and such. So I don't doubt that the freelance side has more liberty that you can take on the art side of the storytelling to some degree. Yep. But on the execution of any of this stuff, whether you're a prototype or freelance and you're building a mountain and rock work and all this stuff, it's irrelevant. If when you're painting rock work or weathering a freight car, it's irrelevant whether what you're doing was from a fictitious railroad or a real railroad. That's irrelevant on that art form because of that. Now, the storytelling part, sure, there's some difference there on prototype versus freelance. But even, prototype, I don't think, prototype, you still got to tell a story.
Right. So Robert and Chris are telling everybody, here we go.
And I can't.
No, it's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah. No.
Well, look at
this. Because we mostly agree on this. But,
look at your screen. Look at your screen.
Oh, my gosh. There you are. At least he's got it from the right position. But no. No, me and Ralph agree on this, which honestly, the things that have been super interesting for me and Ralph to quote unquote argue about, we mostly agree on those things anyway. It's just, we interpret, how we explain them, interpret them, what repercussions there are from all those things. That's the interest is in that discussion, honestly, even on something like backdrops, we don't disagree as strongly as it comes across as that we disagree because you have some photos on yours. But the art form debate, I think, is just sure that it's possible. I don't think it's absolutely necessary that it's an art form. For example, so there's a German model railroad, not the miniature Wonderland that's so famous for that, but there's a German model railroad that is built by the signal crew of the German railroad, of some of the German railroads or of the German state. Okay.
Deutsche Bahn.
Yeah. Do you know about that model railroad that is the signaling railroad that they use to train engineers and stuff? So there's no scenery on it. These are flat, big, large, flat, white tables with track work laid on it with working signal systems.
Almost plywood Pacific.
To call that art, absolutely. So to call that art is a discredit to nothing against what they've done. It's not targeted at being artful. What they've done is an exercise in engineering, and they know that, of course. So I don't think that you would call that art. I don't think that if you were a plywood Pacific, freelance, again, nothing against anybody who happens to follow any of these things that we're saying or that I'm about to say. If you're one of those that, I just run what I like, and you're not doing any scenery or any of that other stuff, you just have big circles of plywood Pacific and you run some trains on it. It's hard to call that art. Again, nothing against it. It could be it's still your hobby. You're still a model railroader, etc.
Right.
But it's hard to call that art. The art is in the execution.
Okay, but there are model railroaders that just because of lack of information, maybe maybe that's the wrong term, that don't go beyond because it's a chore. It's something they don't know what to do or how to do, so they procrastinate.
Okay.
And they end up becoming rail fans instead.
Really?
So, yeah.
So what is that? And that is Huh. Okay, I'd have to think about that. About why? About that. Okay, that's not art or whatever. That's some study in psychology. That's for a future show. We'll talk about
Yep.
that.
So,
The mental
so,
illness of rivet counters or whatever. I don't know.
yep. So, actually, Bill's going to have somebody on that has on his show in the near future that sees model railroading as a release, a relief. Anyway, you'll hear about it.
Oh
So
well, I mean, I think that's a
CV
obviously true.
Railroad wants to know how I blend the stone wall abutment corners. I try to get them as close as possible. I make one of them flush to the opposite surface, and then I carve the stones and fill the gaps with plaster mud, or wall. What do you call it? Wallboard mud.
Was it plaster of Paris or was it drywall mud?
Drywall mud.
Okay.
Once it's all matched together, and you paint it over with the beige paint, and it doesn't have to be beige. I use beige because it's a nice. It's not white. If I wanted it white, I could paint it with white. But I wouldn't paint it raw because the plaster soaks up too much paint. And once you put that dark paint on, if it soaks it in, you can't brush it off.
It's hard to argue with the success. What you've done the corners of that look spectacular. I mean, and it's pretty similar to working with any hydrocal structure. If you're working with a downtown deco or one of those kits, you've got to blend that in.
Yep, that's right. But you have to use plaster of Paris to do that. You use hydrocal to do that. I use plaster of Paris. I use plaster of Paris because it's slightly softer and it's easier to carve. And when you're carving it, it doesn't chip off in big chunks like hydrocal does.
Yeah,
hydrocal is too brittle.
One of the best techniques. That's right. One of the best tricks for the hydrocal, or even for this work, or blending any rock work together, is a wet paintbrush. So that keeps it off from your detail. It keeps it from destroying the detail of your rock work. So as you're working, just kind of continually using a wet brush to kind of brush it off from the detail stonework.
People think that this stuff is affected by water. It's not. You can put this in a bucket of water, and it does not affect the hardness of it. It makes it a little bit more workable, but it doesn't dissolve it. It doesn't break it down. As a matter of fact, that's one of the ways that like Woodland Scenics with their plaster castings, they use hydrocal as well. And when you paint their paints on to color it, you literally have to start with, it has to be soaked in water so that the paint doesn't go right into the plaster and disappear, because their paints, their coloring is only pigment. It's not paint. And then once you're finished, you have to seal it, put a sealing coat on it, and the sealing coat holds the color at the surface. Whereas when I do it, it doesn't go past the latex paint.
With latex, you're sealing it and painting it as a single step. It's like a paint and primer combination that you would use on a plastic structure. It's a combined step.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So what are you working on?
And one thing I'll say to non-artistic people, because I'm much more of an engineer in every way, and I never claim to be anything other than that, because I just am. It's just obviously who I am, that I'm an engineer. I do strive to do what I'm doing quite artfully, but to the point of that is the painting technique. So Ralph showed me this several years ago, before we'd ever done anything on here together, just when we were hanging out in the Google Hangouts, I think, or whatever that we were using at the time. I had just not had good luck doing rock painting at all. And I had tried that leopard spotting, and again, whatever works for anybody. For me, the leopard spotting technique. Okay, I'm gonna be kind. It did not yield good results for me. Okay,
I'm going to be kind.
try to be kind about this. It never yielded good results for me, not whatsoever. But I was always following other people saying that this light to dark technique, of starting light and adding dark and adding dark and adding dark, and I just could never get good results whatsoever. And you got to use what works for you. It's hard to argue that the light to dark technique works for a lot of people. Boomer, who does as good a modeling work as any of us do, whatever. I strive to be
he
as good a
goes
modeler.
dark to light. He goes dark to light.
Does he? Because it depends on what he's doing. Some of his stuff is light to dark, like the rockwork stuff. Well, I don't know. Maybe he just primed it all white and then started working on top of that white rock surface.
Dark to
So
light.
I don't know. Well, I do the dark to light. Everybody I see, most of the YouTube videos I've seen about this topic when I was looking it up years ago were light to dark techniques. That I just not had good results with that. But painting it all like not black, but like raw umber, and then just dry brushing and dry brushing and dry brushing and dry brushing layers to add color and diversity to it, and until it lightened up to the point I liked it. People may not like the results I've got or really like the rock work that I've done on my layout one way or the other with it, but I got the best results I've ever got on any of that stuff.
Going dark to
for
light.
me to have got that, it was the best results I'd ever got.
Yeah, dark to light.
So however long that was about 10 minutes that we've been showing that or whatever. That's about how long it's taken me to shave one of these things to get it, to get the stuff off from it. To get the detail and not risk damaging it. And then I've got, a little bit of sanding, but not much to get it, and then that'll get, another one, which I've already got. I've got quite a few, I got a number of these already sanded to that. And then a few more of these, which I'm going to carry on and start working on the next one. Yeah. But that technique works. And while we chit chat, I'm going to go ahead and play this video that Ralph snuck and recorded of me while I was doing this crazy.
Robert and I had the biggest laugh of all time watching Andy try and hang this module. The module itself is not all that heavy, but it's awkward, it's big, and he's hanging it from the ceiling. So you be the judge.
And I'm a midget. Well, and I'm relatively short.
I wasn't going to go there.
Listen, I've made peace with all that stuff. So, I'm 5'6", 5'6", 5'7", and working, trying to get these things up against the 8-foot ceiling within the aluminum framework that I have up there. I've taken some of the aluminum framework down. The aluminum framework you see here is a slightly simpler bit of framework that was original, and I have aluminum framework to add back because I have made adjustments to this. But while we talk, and I'll continue cutting them, we'll go ahead and play this at some high speed. Also, this is like, what was it, like 11 o'clock at night when I was decided to go ahead and do it? I think we were on here till probably 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe.
You started, I believe. You started, I think it was midnight.
Okay, I thought it was pretty late, but I was pretty committed to try to get it done. So, and I desperately needed a haircut at the time. Boy,
we'll give you that.
Oh, are you kidding me? Okay, bear with me 1 second. I did move some files around a minute ago, but I was worried about getting your videos. And I guess I didn't copy my video off there. All right, I got it. Okay. Gosh.
Well,
I probably ought
while
to
you're
slow
getting
this
that
down
set,
just a touch.
while you're getting that set up,
Uh-huh.
I'll show. So I say, while you're getting that set up, I'll show something else. I'll share something
Yeah, please.
if I can get it out of the way. All right. Where's the share button? There. Share. Screen. Okay. So dark to light. That's what that brickwork looks like when it's finished. That was the thorny branch, which is like a almost a black chocolate color. And then as I moved on, progressed, I added some more detail. And that's the way it ended up. That's the way it sits right now. It's still not finished. I still have to do the water, and I have to do water coming out of the pipe. But that's what the rock work looks like. And these boards that come down, the I don't know what you call them, they're 1/4 inch square. And I took, what do you call it, a bastard file, and just filed a groove so that I could put those boards in about halfway. And they fit in perfectly. So I think one plaster piece ended up right about there. The next one was underneath the joint. Actually, no, I'll take that back. I made sure the joints were underneath the boards. That was it. So in the middle of each piece, I have a board going down. And on the end of each piece, there's a board going down. And then, so this is the regular rock work. Done the same way, except I used a dark gray. I have 3 different grays that I dark to light. You put on the main one is the dark gray, and you dry brush all the other colors on, and it leaves the dark in the crevices. And then when I'm finished, I take some white and I just highlight the tops. The same on this piece. That's the finished scene, sort of finished. So there you go. Oh, wow.
So,
there he goes.
no,
He's
it's not
lifting.
heavy, not really, but it's unwieldy. Not heavy, but it's unwieldy.
Yes.
But I real quickly tried to figure out how. So it has a strip across the back of it that I'm just trying to get up on top of that aluminum strip that they're all hanging from the ceiling. And I did put, there is a 2x4 kind of pried up under it as it hangs, just to make sure I don't rip something, rip the system down as I get it up on there. So. And you can see, I've already been doing this for a while because you can already see I'm pouring sweat and stuff trying to get this thing up there.
That was a light blue shirt.
Yeah. All right. It wore me out.
Like I said, Robert and I had a laugh. We had money on when it was going to go up and whether it was going to fall. And how many curse words
it still had
we were going to hear.
Oh, well, okay. So whoever said it was a lot, they won that bet, and we're definitely going to be playing this video muted.
Yeah.
We're not giving you the audio.
No.
Really even kind of surprised that I'm willing to even show this to everyone live on video because, a combination of things. But I'm very happy with the results. It was a very, very trying couple hours to get it.
Labor intensive, it would be the word.
Yes.
He kept threatening to quit, and we kept egging him on.
Oh yeah. No, I was like, listen, I'll get this, of course, but I'm going to bed. I'll figure. I'm gonna think about this, for 6 or 8 months and figure out exactly how to do this, and then we'll try it again. No, not exactly 6 or 8 months, but I was going to take a minute and work on it. And here, I'm stepping back and staring at it like, okay, surely there's a better, easier way to try to get this thing up there in the air,
Thank God
I
for
went,
sawhorses.
I went and, well, that's right. I went and got my scrawny little wife and brought her in there to look at it with me for a minute. Like, all right, honey, you think you can hold a side of this up there? There, we pick it up in there, but she couldn't have done, that wasn't going to work either. You see my all threads hanging there. Those are all threads that actually need to be removed now. I need to take those out. They're still there, but they were from where the layout used to
When
be
he
planted to
was
come
going to
further
put
around there. Oh, and then
he was going to put a helix in. That's what the threaded rod was for, and suspend it from
and the
ceiling
helix
instead of
holds all of this. The all thread, the aluminum frames that are there are all held to the ceiling, are held up either by connecting to the wall or by hanging from all thread. These all threads that are to the front of this module were when the peninsula was just larger and I did not have, I basically planned for as tight aisles as is reasonable in all layouts, so like 26-inch aisles. I've now got 30-inch aisles everywhere, and the aisle across in front of this module is 44 inches wide. I've got a 4-foot wide aisle here in front of this. With all this layout, with 300 foot of linear mainline, multi-levels, et cetera, I got a 4-foot, in a 15 by 15 room, I've got a 4-foot aisle in the front. So and this is the scene when you first come in the layout. As soon as you duck under, walk into the room, this is the first thing you see. Is stand here and look at this bridge. So I wanted a big enough aisle that people could kind of stand and congregate there. And I did
the
so without
signature scene.
sacrificing.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. But a minute ago, I tried to pick it up. Oh, yeah. All right. Never mind. You guys are going to get a C. Me trying my best to get this thing up there, to get this orange crate under it. And those sawhorses are adjustable, so I could have dropped the sawhorses down. But that orange crate is about a half inch too tall to slide under there. I like to kill myself trying to get it under there.
So just to let everybody know, the thing on the back is almost like a French cleat, if you know what a French cleat is. It goes up and over a bar, and it holds the mechanism in place. And in this case, when he finally got it up, it held itself up perfectly as planned. The engineering was done well.
Thank you. I feel good about the engineering. The artistic side of this, I've still figured out whether that's all going to work out perfectly, but I feel pretty decent about my engineering. These C-frame modules with the valance and the soffit and everything built in, I'm in love with this way of building a layout for sure. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Robert. Oh, not easily. Not easily. You can convince me of something. You can change my mind, but you're going to put some work into it if you actually want to change my mind on something.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if it's something I've thought about previously, if we're just talking about something random that I haven't really put any thought experience, thought energy into, then sure, I don't, I may not have a strong opinion. But on some of this about this layout design, I have many tens of or hundreds of hours invested in doing, but also invested in thinking and planning and kind of running these thought experiments about how it should work out or whatever. So, and I ended up going from a helix design to a non-helix design. I didn't want a helix for a bunch of reasons, and there you are. And I got the lighting that's built into the layout turned on. So. Oh, also, it has an aluminum strip along the front edge, an aluminum L channel. Gosh, look at me. I look haggard after doing that. But get it
all I
level
did
and run some
all I
screws.
did for this was I just recorded the video feed of our chat that night. I messaged Robert and told him I was
Listen, you
going
don't
to
want
do
the
it.
audio. Yeah, I was joking about you guys sneaking it, but yeah, you didn't want the audio
No,
from this, but
we did sneak it. We didn't tell you till you were halfway through.
oh, really? Okay, I couldn't remember exactly. Um, you could see it has a. Let's see if I can get it back down here. You can see it has an aluminum um, L channel along the front. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, there we are. Okay, it has an aluminum L channel along the front edge of the front subfascia framework. That plywood or something that's there, half-inch plywood. By the way, there's no dimensional lumber in any of this stuff. It's all plywood and MDF. Um, but there's that plywood subfascia, and it has that aluminum L channel on it. So it goes up on top of the aluminum brackets that are held to either connected to the wall or hanging from the ceiling on all thread. And when it's hanging on all thread, they're run straight down through it and bolted, washer and a nut and a lock nut against it. So it all locks in there solid. Then it has this aluminum L channel strip that is like, I think it's 5/8 or 3/4 on the subfascia. And that stuff is about the same thickness of aluminum as the masonite. So then on top of that, I will put a strip of masonite that butts up against the bottom of the aluminum L channel. It hangs down 1 inch below the soffit, and just 1 inch because the light strip goes below that. And then on top of that, I'll put the next strip of masonite, and the next strip of masonite will go over top of the aluminum and screws right up to the top. So you'll just see a little sliver of aluminum kind of sticking out behind the fascia, the top of the soffit when done, which you won't even see that because I'm going to treat the ceiling with black felt. Once it's done, the ceiling will have black felt. Once it's done, so you won't see any of that. But and then that second piece of fascia will hang down further than just the 1 inch. That way, because it hangs down 1 inch, and then the next piece hangs down, say, 2 inches past that where the other one did, so that there's a step on the inside of it which is where LED strip lights butt up to. But yeah, that was the crazy stuff of me hanging that doggone module from the ceiling, and it was sure crazy. It really, it was a really,
It
it's a
was
really crazy,
crazy
really
and
crazy
fun.
experience.
Crazy and fun. Fun
Yeah,
for us to watch.
and I'm ecstatic, just exuberant that it's up there, and it's been up there now for 5 months, solid. It's not finished in any meaningful way, and it's just that one. There's other modules, but the two modules on either end of that kind of go across the aisles and stuff and join all that in. Those two modules haven't been put up yet, so it's just that one module sitting there. It hasn't moved. So when those other two modules are there, there's a lot more. Um, a
And
lot more that's kind of meeting it and mounting to it. It'll be more rigid.
just after you got it hung, we were hoping to see more results on it. You got your family issues to deal with. So at that point, you sort of put everything in the background and said, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
back
there has been
again.
kind of a bit of a yep.
What we call a
And we're
railroad
getting ready to
phone.
go into modeling. Yeah, and we're getting ready to go into kind of the kind of quote unquote modeling season. And I'm really excited and kind of figuring out a couple things that are going to be my priorities over this modeling winter. And I kind of normally do that. So I tend to kind of calm down about September or something and kind of get a game plan. What are the things that I want to accomplish by, say, April or May? One thing is I'd really like to get trains running on the branch line. that is the 3 modules that have been hanging there for a year. And I'm going to make a little bit of a cheat for now temporarily so that I can integrate running across this big bridge, which will be up in the air by then. And the way the track plan works, which I can pull it up, but it's not necessary, is it goes across that bridge, circles into this room over there in that corner above the pegboard, and comes in here, turns around back on itself, and heads back in there and on up as it climbs on up, and then climbs on up here. But as it does that, it is basically on the same level as the track that's heading out to the branch line. And so I'm just going to put a crossover, maybe even a double crossover. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a double crossover on the where those 2 tracks are parallel that go to the bridge and for the branch line. So then you'll be able to run from the hidden track on the other side of that bridge as that turns back. I'm going to go ahead and build. I've already got that piece of track work and everything built. I've got the turnback curve because it was part of the helix that I took down off that stuff. It's just leaned up against the wall in there. It goes through the bathroom, actually, through the master bathroom, and it turns back. I need to build that. I need to cut those holes and hang it. I've already cut the hole through the wall into the bathroom. I need to hang that in there. But so you'll have hidden track. The train can be sitting there. It can come out and go across the big bridge, come into this room and turn back on itself. And instead, it would turn back on itself and then climb on up and go across the several more bridges. As it does, it would do that. But instead, it will go through one of those one of those double crossovers. It will cross over to the outside and then go out the branch line and up to the branch line that to the coal loading facility that you guys have seen. Those 3 modules that are on that wall. It'll go there to the coal loading facility where I can run the locomotives around or shift cars or kind of switch that a little bit and then head back out. It'll head back out, go back across the crossover, the hidden crossover that it really shouldn't be using, across the big bridge and back to a hidden track. And I can do all of that. Much of that's done. It's just build the bridge, build those other 2 modules. And by later this year, I could have a kind of point-to-point cheat with some shortcuts involved in getting trains running in a way that are interesting visually, and I can actually do a little bit of meaningful operations. I can even do a little bit of meaningful operations with maybe 2 people or something. So that's one plan. And then I'm going to focus on this room some this winter as well. I know that has nothing to do with the build show exactly. Well, maybe it does, because build show and our workshops and how we build are pretty important to our modeling, to building.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to buy some base switching cabinets, the ones that go below, just the kind of less expensive ones at Lowe's and Home Depot and Menards sale that are just a fixed size. They're not custom cabinets. You can get them in, say the kitchen base that goes under a sink, you could get in 36 or in 60. There's maybe 4 or 5 different sizes. So I'm going to buy a few of those cabinets to go around the bottom here and make a U-shaped and
For your workshop
and stuff to put. That's right, for my workshop in here.
Right.
And then just that for the winter, I want you to do that, and then maybe next year, before terribly long after that, I'll think about maybe at this point. I think I've decided I'll even go ahead and buy the wall cabinets because they're 12 inches or 14 inches deep. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that, so I have a good place to store rolling stock and other supplies, but rolling stock in the shelves where you can open the door and just stick the equipment in like this, because they're exactly the right depth for the staging that goes on top of that. So, and I'll take those cabinets, and before I ever even hang them, I'll just take 1/2 inch MDF and put a couple pieces in on top and screw down 1/2 inch MDF to the top, and go ahead and put the EVS foam or the neoprene that makes the road bed for staging. So then as I hang the cabinets up, they're ready to lay flex track on. So
that's all for another show.
Anyway, that's right. But I am through this winter going to get the trains running across that, get this bridge an actual build, not just build. We're going to do over the next few shows we'll be continuing to build this bridge, but get it actually within a little bit of operations.
Yep.
And then maybe one last thing before we go, because we have already run an hour and 15 minutes at this point, unless we've got any other comments or questions that we need to attend to. I showed you guys the abutments and stuff that I had been making with mostly gator board, but I wanted to make some with sloped. This one isn't finished, of course. This is in a rough shape right now, but actually Ralph was challenging me on whether I could make the correct ones with my technique that have the sloped cabs and stuff, because they look like this when they're way up on the steep part of the hillside. They look like this, and they're not just the more traditional square ones. And I wanted to do it in the same technique as all of my abutments and stuff are. This is I have to find the other one. It's laying here. I've got both of my abutments are laying here somewhere. I don't know where the other one went right this second. I had it a minute ago, but this is one of the abutments with the wing walls that is gator board. Gator board, and
you're gonna have to take pictures of them for next time.
And they are
take pictures of them for next show, so they'll show better. They'll show better.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll show that. But they are gator board. But I also did make this one that we had talked about, but was not made on the last show when we talked about these abutments. But and now we've talked about the girders. So my next show, you will see a 7-foot long piece of aluminum that now looks like a bridge with girders on it. And this is how Ralph has done it, and I'm following his technique on on this. So thank you guys for joining us. Build Show, you got anything else, Ralph?
No, I'm good. Just keep on trucking, man. Just keep on working on the railroad.
That's right.
Chris Rude, come and see us.
Well, we'll see you guys back.
Yep. You take care. See you guys. Have a good couple of weeks.
Also, to anybody who that's right. See you back in a month. Also, anybody who has joined in with MRL or YTMB before that for years, but has not been joining us more recently on the video chats, you may not have kept up with the advancements in our technology. I have included the link in the description of this YouTube video to our Discord channel, and I've included the invite link that will get you in there, because you have to have an invite. If you click that link within the next 7 days, it will get you in with an invite. If you're watching this video in a month or two and you haven't found our Discord server, please reach out or message any one of us, and we will get you an updated or valid invite link to our Discord server. So,
right on.
Thanks everybody for joining us. And
later, boys and girls.
We'll see you guys in a month. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.